You're nobody.
Welcome back, y'all. It is episode 3. We've made it to the numero 3. I'm so happy that you guys are back. Thank you so much again to those who have listened to episodes 1 and 2. And if this is your first episode listening, then that is good as well. I appreciate it more than you know. You guys, we have so much in store today. I have probably the best story submitted to me yet by a listener, and I'm going to give you a little snippet right here. Here it goes. A murder is witnessed, and in result, 3 children go missing.
This is the story of how my mom lost me at 6 years old, my sister at 3 years old, and my younger brother at 2 years old, when she lost us for a period of 2 days. This story starts off because my stepdad witnessed her murder.
Okay, so that will be coming further down in the show, and you guys, I'm so excited. It's crazy. It's crazy. It really is. It's crazy. And as always, if you have a story to share, whether it's funny, sad, I don't know, just strange, or you just want to share, please feel free to submit. You can either submit it via email written down and I'll read it, or if you feel comfortable enough and you don't care about your voice or anybody hearing it, you can submit it like this listener did via, a sound, voice, whatever, sound. What? A sound memo? There you go. You can submit it that way, which I personally prefer that way because, nobody will tell your story better than your story, right? Like, I can try my best, obviously, but I think it's just... I love it when you guys submit it via voice memo. And honestly, thank you to the submissions that we have received. I also have another wild story for next week's episode, which it's a controversial one. Like, what do we do? I'm just saying. And you can submit those stories to TheKrystalKalinaPodcast at gmail.com. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, it's just KrystalKalina. And yeah, let's jump on right into it. For me today, it is Friday. So happy Friday, y'all. Even though I know the majority of you will be listening to this on Monday, I am there with you on Monday. I know Mondays are a hard day because that's when we start the day off. But you know what? I'm just listening to my podcast and make that one little hour go by just that much faster. Okay, let's jump right on into it. So sayings and quotes that I heard this week, I didn't really hear much, to be honest. I just didn't really hear much. I was watching Real Housewives of Atlanta all week, so I didn't really go out or leave the house or scroll the net. So yeah, these are the ones that we have though. I have one of them. I had it saved on my Instagram, saved quotes, just because I was like, whenever I did come across it, I thought it was pretty cool. The first one is, most people don't even know themselves, so why does it matter what they think of you? Facts. Whenever I'm in some sort of mood and I'm being an asshole and I kind of just talk shit about somebody, I'm like, Krystal, shut the fuck up, because you don't even have your life together, so don't comment on somebody else's life. And that is true. Most people don't even know themselves, so why does it matter what they think of you? Worry about yourself, myself included. Let's just worry about ourselves, and we should honestly, let's not worry about what people think of us. Honestly, like I always say, unless you're an asshole, there's no need to worry. The second one, this is the one that I said I had saved to my Instagram by the Mr. And I don't even know if Elon Musk really even said this, but it was like a meme. Not a meme, but you know what I mean? Like one of those photos and he was in the back and it just looked he said it. It says, if you give yourself 30 days to clean your house, it will take 30 days. But if you give yourself 3 hours, it will take 3 hours. Same applies to goals, ambitions, and plans. Facts. If you give yourself 30 days to clean your house, it will take you 30 days. If you give yourself 3 hours, it will take you 3 hours. Elon Musk is right. Apply that to your goals, ambitions, and plans, okay? Don't that is true. If I told myself right now, my goal is to get a 30-minute workout by the end of today, it could take me the next 8 hours to fulfill that, or it could take me the next hour. But you know what? I'm doing a podcast right now, so I can't really do that. But you know what I mean. So same applies to goals, ambitions, and plans. Shout out to Elon Musk. I don't know if he really said that, but if he did, shout out to Elon. Okay, you guys, let me jump into my, there are a lot of moments in my week, day, life that I'm like, am I dumb? Am I dumb? Like, am I really dumb? And the answer is yeah, I probably really am. So let me tell you guys the one incident that happened to me last week. As you guys know, okay, I'm trying to figure out how to say this with not making me sound as dumb as I really am. So last week we had a agent viewing, so they requested to come see the house, right? And I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna leave. I'm not gonna leave the house this time. I'm just gonna go for a walk around the neighborhood, and then when I come back, it'll just be easier than getting in the car, driving somewhere, waiting half hour, and then coming back. So I'm like, light some candles. Today was the day I decided to light the most candles I possibly could. And this will be a little scary later. So I light one in the bathroom. I light a candle in the living room. The house is smelling good. And then I'm like, okay, it's time to go, So then I get my work laptop and I'm like, well, shit, I'm still like clocked in and working. Like, what do I do? So I go to the alley and I'm sitting there in the damn alley on my laptop working, and I can hear the lady, like I can hear the backyard door opening, and I'm like, okay, cool, they're here, whatever. And then it just dawns on me, it hits me, and I'm like, dude, you never took your house keys. And I'm like, fuck, how am I gonna get back in the house? And I'm like, I start panicking because now I have 3 lit candles, and for the majority, most agents, they're pretty responsible and they'll lock up all the doors. Some of them we've had where they forget to lock the doors, which that's another discussion for another day. But I was like, in my mind, I was like, I really hope that this agent is irresponsible and they forget to lock the door. So now I'm panicking in the alley with my laptop. I'm texting my boyfriend and I'm like, hey, do you know how to get the key out of the lockbox in case the agent locks the door? And he's like, nope, they'll figure it out. And I'm like, no, they don't need to figure it out. I need to figure it out. But it's not registering in his mind what I'm talking about. So I'm just in panic mode. Whatever. The 30 minutes go by. I could hear them leave. I walk to the front yard. I go to the front yard, laptop in hand. I start trying to open the door, and I'm like, oh my God, it's locked. So then I run to the backyard. I try to open the backyard door, doesn't open, locked as ever. So then now I'm really panicking because I could just see the candles lit in the house. And I'm like, dude, I have a cat, and I mean, she's she's a good roomie, okay? She's a good roommate. She doesn't disrespect, she doesn't jump on counters or anything like that. But I was like, what if today is the day she decides to jump on the counters and start a fire? I have been pretty mean to her lately. No, I'm just kidding. But what if, So every scenario starts going through my mind. So now I'm like not banging, but I was prepared. Like, you guys cannot, if somebody saw what I was doing, they would probably call the cops and be like, there is a burglary happening in the moment right now. So I'm freaking the F out. And I'm telling you, I was ready to break down these doors. In my mind, I had it set that I am breaking these doors. I don't care if they cost $1,000. I'm going to Home Depot tomorrow and buying these houses. Buying these doors because I'm getting into this house. And then I guess I'm starting to Google at this point, like how to break into a lockbox, agent viewing, whatever, how do they do it? And it's all like super advanced now. So it's not even like an actual key. It's Bluetooth. So you have to do some sort of Bluetooth. It reads it. So now it was a very bad moment for me. I was prepared to break the restroom window. So then now I'm like, I swear to God, it was probably like 20 minutes now of me just going back and forth through every window, every door of this house, trying to break it in. And then I'm like, okay, you know what? Even though this lockbox is Bluetooth, what if it's not? What if it's old school? Because I'm starting to see like little slits and slivers in the box, and I'm like, what if that's a keyhole? What if that's a keyhole? But it's honestly just the design of the lockbox. So then I go into my mailbox, and I'm like, what if there's a key somewhere? Something. You know what I see in the I was gonna say lunchbox in my mailbox? I see my car keys, and I swear to God, I was like, am I dumb? Like, do I have Alzheimer's? Like, I was like, is my memory like fucking with me? Is my memory that bad, Krystal? Is your memory that bad that you actually didn't forget your keys? You put them in the mailbox for you because you're so responsible that you forgot how responsible you were. And I was like, no, fuck that. I'm 29. My memory is not gonna shit just yet. So it was like, what? I was so confused. I was like, did this agent maybe she saw my keys on the table and was like, oh, this dumbass forgot her house keys. Let me just put them in the mailbox because they need a way to get in, obviously. I mean, all bunch of stories started going through my head. And then it hit me that I am a forgetful, irresponsible idiot, but this time and this one time only, it played to my benefit. You know what? Earlier that day, I had gone to my favorite store ever. I went to Safeway. I forgot my house keys, chilling in the front of my damn lock, and they were just sitting there all day until this agent came and viewed the house, and they said, oh, these people forgot their house keys. Let me just throw them in the mailbox for them. And I was just like, wow. I couldn't tell if I wanted to feel proud of myself or just like, wow, I am a true moron. And now there's witnesses. And mind you, right when I find the keys, there's a text alert. And then there's a screenshot, a photo, and it's in a group chat with me, my boyfriend, and our real estate agent. And they're like, hey, agent said that you guys forgot your house keys, so they throw them in the mailbox. And I'm like, so now we all know that I'm an idiot. But anyways, I felt dumb. I was panicking. I didn't know what to think. I thought the house would catch on fire. There's now more people witnessing that I am in fact dumb. But you know what? That was my story, and I hope that never happens to you. And mind you, that's not the first time I've done that. That's probably like the 10th time that I've left my house keys just mad chilling on the door. It's bad. I have a problem and I need help, guys. But we're not going to impact that right now. Okay, on to the next lady. Okay, this one. This is a video that I saw. You guessed it, guys, on TikTok. It's a video that I saw on TikTok where this lady, and I apologize in advance because I didn't do that much research. I gotta stop doing that, sharing stories and then not doing research. Like, what kind of sharer am I? Also, I'm gonna take a sip of my coffee before it gets watered down. I try to make it like the caramel macchiato for McDonald's because that is the best coffee ever. McDonald's, you have the best iced coffee. I don't care what Dutch Bros, Starbucks, Human Bean, all those other places, y'all have the best iced coffee. I just want to say that. Okay, so I called it. This is a story how a lady brings a dead baby to daycare. So from when I got on TikTok, this is the story. There was a lady who had her baby. She would take him to daycare, and I guess the baby was sick for a few days. So they were like, no, ma'am, you cannot bring that baby back until you have a doctor's note stating that the baby is okay and they can be surrounded by other people. They're not going to infect other people, get them sick. You know the drill. And I guess the lady tried to bring the baby back, and they were like, nope, do you have a doctor's note, blah blah blah. So whatever, point is, I guess I think it was the owner of the daycare center wasn't in the daycare the day that lady decided to bring her baby, right? So then the ladies at the front desk were kind of like, oh, is he better? And she was very like, oh no, he's okay. The doctor said he's fine. He's okay. And again, I don't remember if it was a he or a she, so we're just gonna run with he. So they were like, oh, okay, and I guess the baby was asleep. So then they tried to wake up the baby, so they could switch the baby out. So then the mom says, no, it's okay. I'll go put him in the crib, like in the daycare crib. So they were like, okay, they thought that was a little odd, but they get it. Maybe mom has a certain touch that won't wake up the baby. So I guess she goes and lays down the baby. And some time goes by, maybe like 10-15 minutes, and I think the owner calls in and just says like, hey, how are things? Oh, no, I guess, oh my god, you guys, I promise I will do my research. So I guess in the story, everything that I'm going to say is correct. I just don't know if the order is correct. But I guess the lady, the owner, I think she saw like a camera with a baby and was like, hey, who's that baby in that crib? And they were like, oh, it's so-and-so. And she was like, no, I told you guys, and I told her. I was very straight to the point that she was not to bring him back without a doctor's note. Did she bring a doctor's note? They're like, no, she didn't, but she says it's okay. So they were like, go check on that baby and make sure that baby is okay. So then I guess they go and check on the baby, and the baby is deceased. The baby was dead. So this lady, and I guess ultimately, further down the road, the lady was saying, the girl on TikTok that was telling the story, she was like a caregiver or day caregiver from that place, and she was saying that they ended up discovering that the baby actually didn't die due to like the sickness. They don't know the details of like how the baby died, and the mom didn't kill the baby, obviously. Actually, that's not obvious because we don't know, but the mother did not kill the baby. And I guess from what they gather, because the girl didn't really know like all the details, she's like, what I think happened was that the baby died and this mother panicked and didn't know what to do. So maybe she thought she was going to be in trouble for it. So she thought, let me go ahead and just take the baby to the daycare and, I don't know, blame it on them. Like, who knows ultimately what her reasoning, I don't know how rational, I don't know what her reasoning was for taking the baby to the daycare. But that is wild. It's wild. Like, holy shit, dude. Imagine working at that daycare and that, like, poor baby. Like, I honestly, we don't know it's scary because we don't know what happened from that child being at home to from the moment it was deceased, or from the, you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of time that is there's a lot of unknown, and it's scary. And I'm going to look further. I'm going to look for more TikToks because I think that girl's like, oh, there's a part 2, but there's not really much to tell. But I'm sure with time, more details will come out. So I'm going to tag the girl who posted the TikTok. I'm going to link the video of the girl that posted the TikTok so you guys can see if you guys want to do like hardcore stalking on I'm sure more details will come up with time. I only saw this video like last week, so it's not that old. But yeah, that was crazy. Okay, on to the next. Miley Cyrus' new song, Flowers. You guys, what do we think? I've always said Miley Cyrus is my favorite female that came out of Disney Channel. And you know what? She went through a lot of hate. A lot of people hated her, called her like inappropriate, immature. She doesn't carry herself in a class-like way. And I was just like, you know what? Fuck them. Because Miley Cyrus, the one thing that I love about her, it's almost like Jeffree Star. They're 100% themselves. And in the end, it pays off. Because you know them in and out. They're not afraid to be somebody else, that they're so perfect that when they fuck up, then they're like, we don't like you because I can't believe you did that. No, they've been themselves from the beginning till today, and that's why people have stuck around by their sides. And I'm only putting Jeffree Star into this scenario because he is equally as like controversial and a lot of people don't like him, but the fans that are fans of his, they stick around. And same goes to Miley Cyrus. Like, I've always said that is my wife. She is my day one. She's a Saggy. My moon and rising are Sag. But I love Miley Cyrus, and like, here's the tea on this song, and everything is allegedly, because you know what, we're not in Hollywood. You and I are not in Hollywood, so we ultimately don't know what's real, what's wrong. Supposedly, this song is dedicated, or it's not necessarily dedicated, but it's about Liam Hemsworth, you know, her ex-husband. And I guess she's walking up, you know, through the hills of Hollywood, Malibu, whatever the exact zip code is. But she, you know, in the beginning, she's like strutting down the road, up the hill, looking good, like a golden goddess. And I guess she's on her way to the mansion, or not mansion, but the house that he had 14 different affairs in, and she's wearing the suit that he supposedly wore to like one of the movie premieres that they went to together. And the reason, if you watch the music video, I guess she's working out. Also stunning. That bitch got a body on her. I mean, she may be, a lot of people may think when they see a thin female, like, oh, they're thin, yeah, like they're, but no, she is cut, okay? She is cut, and she is fit, okay? So she's like working out, and I guess supposedly the reason, and you know what? Again, you guys, I don't know how much. Honestly, I don't believe any of this. The only thing I believe is the facts, which is the song "Flowers," and we know it's about Liam Hemsworth. That's the only thing I believe so far. But I guess she's working out because he would supposedly tell her that he would be going to work out even though he was going to go have an affair in this household. I don't know how much of that is true. I'm not TMZ. And even if I were, would you believe it? I'm not her best friend. I'm not in her circle. I'm saying this like you guys don't already know. But you know what I mean? Like, how much of this is true? We don't know, y'all. But the song "Flowers," I've been listening to it nonstop. I can buy myself flowers. I've been singing that song so much that my boyfriend's like, why, what? But I bought you flowers last week. And I was like, no, I know. But keep fucking around. I'm just kidding. So it's so funny because I'll walk around the house singing that song like, I can buy myself flowers. And my boyfriend goes, he'll literally just randomly be like, I can buy my sweet flowers, like, because he calls me sweet. So he could be like, he'll say, I can buy her flowers, or he'll say, I buy her flowers, or I'm gonna buy her flowers. And I'm just like, sir, we don't need a feature in this song, okay? This is me. Let me have my moment. But he always wants to like add his own little, you don't have to buy yourself flowers because I'm gonna buy them. And it's just the funniest shit ever. But yeah, Miley Cyrus, new song. Do we love it? Do we love it? Do we hate it? I personally love it, and I hope you love it too. On to the next. Oh my god, this TikTok feature. It's about this TikTok feature. So if you don't use TikTok, it's kind of irrelevant, not really, because it's a little. Let's talk about it. So there's this feature on TikTok where if you have less than 5,000 followers, which also strange thing about the followers, like what, who decides how many followers, whatever. There's this feature on TikTok where if you have less than 5,000 followers, you can see who views your profile, which like I am not a fan of. Like, I honestly don't like that. That shit's weird to me. Like, do I honestly want to see who's viewing my profile? I don't care. Like, I really don't care. But I will say this. The other day, I was scrolling through TikTok and I came across my ex's TikTok, I guess. And I was like, oh, okay. And I went to it, went out of it, and that was that. Never thought about it again. Don't know the name. Moved on with my life. But then I was just like, damn, after this featured shit came out, and I was just like, damn, dude, like, what if he had it turned on and now he's like this stocky ass chick stalking me and cares about my life? But like in reality, I didn't. It just came across. So that was that, and I was just like, whatever, who cares? Like and then I created a new TikTok, and I saw some people that I know personally viewed my shit and didn't follow. So now I'm extra salty about it. So I really don't know how to feel about this shit. It's causing drama. No, I'm kidding. But it's just funny, and I just don't know how I feel about it, TikTok. Like, how weird is that shit? You know? Thankfully, I'm not like stalking people, but it's just strange to think about. Okay. All right, y'all. Let's see what we're at. 'Cause I also, okay. So let's just do it. Let's just jump right into our submitter story, our listener story. Holy crap, you guys, like this shit could be a movie, honestly. Like last week's was funny about the girl who got drunk, got home, puke, all that crazy shit. This one, it's a crazy story, and I'm gonna comment on the end how I feel about it. But I'm gonna name this story, let's decide together right now. We're gonna call it, I don't even know, but it's a murder is witnessed, and in result 3 children go missing. Let's call it that. And without further ado, y'all, let's jump into our listener story. This is where the crime junkies I'm kidding. But let's jump into our listener story. Here we go.
So, this is the story of how my mom lost me at 6 years old, my sister at 3 years old, and my younger brother at 2 years old, when she lost us for a period of 2 days. Okay, so this story starts off because my stepdad witnessed a murder. At the time, we were living in Anaheim, California. We were living in a 2-story townhome. And, townhomes usually run in a duplex. Like, you have neighbors next to you, to the left, to the right. And then we also had neighbors behind us. And behind everybody's townhome, like, there was a garage where you can just, park your car underneath. So our garage faced the back door neighbor's garage. And, there was like an alley, a driveway, whatever. Also, like, we had our dumpsters out there. That's where we would go throw away the trash and all that. So at the time, my stepdad, I don't know where he was working, but he had like an early morning job. And we didn't have a car at the time. So my stepdad used to, have to wake up, extra early to get ready, to catch the bus, and then to go to work. So one morning, this was like early hours in the morning. One morning he gets up, gets ready for work, and he goes out to throw away the trash before he leaves. And as he was going to go throw away the trash, he sees inside one of the garages, he sees this guy tied up to a chair, like legs, hands, like tied up, with like duct tape over his mouth, like a bag over his head. It was just like something bad was happening. And this was like a gang related activity. Like, these were gang bangers. I don't know what you would call them, but they were, doing something to this guy. So my dad ends up seeing like that. So he gets like creeped out. And he just, goes. Like, I don't think nobody saw him. He just like, he took a peek, and as soon as he saw what was going on, he kind of just went back inside. And I remember my mom was awake. We ended up waking up, and they were like, everybody was kind of just like looking outside the window. And my stepdad ends up calling the police. So the police get there. I think by the time the police get there, like, I think the guy passed away. I'm not too sure what happened. I don't know if he was strangled or stabbed. The details I really don't know, but rest in peace. The guy ends up passing away. Later, we find out that like arrests were made. And, you know, this ends up going to court. My stepdad ends up, testifying as a witness, yada, yada, yada. Somebody who ended up going to jail for this ends up telling somebody from like the street that, my dad was the one that called the police, and, my stepdad's a snitch. So my stepdad starts receiving death threats. Like, people were like out to get him, I guess. And it got to the point where like the police department would come and take us to and from school. Like, it was that bad. It was very stressful for my parents. And my parents ultimately made the decision that, it was just best for us to just get out of town, like leave. So my stepdad knew somebody from back in the day that lived in this really, really, really small town in California called Orosi. Orosi is in between like Bakersfield, like somewhere between Bakersfield and Fresno. So he knew somebody that lived out there, and the plan was for us to, go to Orosi, stay there while like all this hype of people killing my stepdad dies down. So we end up moving. My stepdad ends up getting a job like at a field picking oranges. Like, Orosi was bad. Like, she was small. She was very quiet. She was run down. She was like run down to the ground. Like, she was not, like, it was not it. I remember it being super quiet, and it always smelled like burnt wood. From what I understood, Orosi is just not, it's not safe. And we were there for, I want to say maybe like a year and a half. Like, cause I remember I ended up finished kindergarten up there. I ended up, starting first grade. I still remember like 9/11 happening when we were still out there. So, my parents are there. My stepdad is, picking oranges. He meets somebody at work, at his job, who I guess just was going through a tough time. I really don't know the details. I think, they were like undocumented, and I don't know what else. So it was this guy and his wife, and they had a baby. So my parents, I guess, just decided to, help them out, and they moved in with us, and they were living with us. And we were living in like a trailer home. They lived with us, and Orosi was just not ideal. Like, I don't think my parents liked it. I think the plan was for us to like never really stay up there. It was kind of just to chill for a little bit, and then we were going to come back to Orange County because that's where we're from. So this is where like the story really starts. My parents, end up thinking that, okay, it's enough time. No one wants to kill my stepdad anymore. Like, let's get out of Orosi. She's dirty. We just don't want to be here anymore. So, they make the decision to move back. And my stepdad ends up persuading the guy that was living with us, his coworker, like telling him, hey, you know what? Orosi is not it. Like, if you want opportunities and money and just, to do bigger things, like, you need to come down to like LA, Orange County. Like, that's where it's at. So the guy and his wife, they agreed. So, moving back, like my stepdad ends up getting a U-Haul. We packed up all our stuff and it was pretty simple. In the U-Haul, it was my stepdad driving, it was my mom, and then they had my older brother. And then the guy that lived with us, he had a minivan, and it was him driving, his wife, their baby, and then it was me, 6 years old, my sister 3, and then like my younger brother was like 2. So it was pretty simple. My dad was just supposed to drive, and we were supposed to follow. Like, that's it. As we started the trip, I guess like we end up stopping at a gas station for gas. And my stepdad's here fueling up. And, the guy is like putting gas in his car. I don't know what happened. I don't remember what happened. I was in the adult in this situation. But my stepdad ends up like getting gas. And then he just like starts pulling out of the gas station. Like, he's like, all right. And the guy, I don't know what happened. He wasn't paying attention and he never saw my dad leave. And at the gas station, I do remember there was other U-Hauls that looked like the one that we had. U-Hauls kind of just look alike. So the guy thought that my stepdad was still chilling. And he never saw my stepdad leave. I remember us being at the gas station for like a fat minute. And I think the guy ended up realizing that my stepdad had left. And I think the reason why we stayed there for a minute was because he thought that maybe my stepdad was supposed to realize that we weren't behind him and that he was going to come back. But he never did. And I just remember like the guy panicking. Because I mean, it's what, 2001. People, like people didn't have cell phones like we have them now. We didn't really have GPS. Really, it was only for like, I guess, really really fancy people. So like we didn't have none of that back then. So the guy was kind of just asking, for directions how to get to, Orange County. And I remember we were like driving around, and like the guy didn't even know where he was going. I don't blame him. But I do remember a time that we were like driving around, and anybody who knows that drive from like Southern California to like, Central, like going to San Francisco north, like on the 5, it's very like mountainous, like a lot of mountains, and it's a nice car ride. And I remember we were like up on some mountain, and we ended up like on a cliff. And I just remember like we stopped at the cliff and there was like construction signs. I'm pretty sure like if we would have gone a little bit more, like we would have been off the cliff. But we were so lost. Eventually we make it to Orange County. And I do remember the guy kept like questioning me, like asking me stuff like, do you know, like where your family lives? Because in Orange County, my stepdad had a sister in Anaheim. He had a sister in Santa Ana. And then from my mom's side, my uncle lived in Garden Grove. So he would like, I remember him like always telling me, like asking me like, where does your family live? And, I'm 6 years old. Like, I don't know shit. And I remember telling him that my uncle lived in Garden Grove. And I don't know why, but I just knew that. And I would always go to my uncle's house. Like, I would always sleep over and I would hang out with my cousins. And, I kind of knew like where my uncle lived. Like, I just knew the city address. I didn't know. So I remember we eventually make it to like Orange County. And I remember like the first night that we were gone. Like I remember we pulled up to this motel, and I remember the guy telling like me and my siblings and everybody in the car, like, everybody needs to be quiet. I'm going to go inside and they can't see us because if they see that we have a lot of kids, they're going to charge us more. So we were all kind of just like, okay, like we got to be quiet. And I remember like the guy going in, he like checks in. And then like, I remember he like snuck into the room. Like we all ran inside. Like we literally were like tiptoeing inside the room. And I just remember being there. And I think before we even got there, we had stopped at the grocery store. And the lady, his wife, like she ended up buying like cup ramen. And I remember like when we were in the hotel inside the room, I just remember her like sitting in the bathroom, like on the toilet seat. And she was just sitting there and she looked so sad. I'll never forget, like she looked really sad, probably stressed out as fuck. But I just remember she had like opened the faucet from the sink and it was just the hot water. And she was just like watching the water run. But she was, what she was doing is that she was waiting for it to get super hot so she can put the water in the cup ramen so they can cook. And I remember like she ends up like filling up the cup ramen and then I guess it was ready and then she gave it to us and it was like the worst fucking cup ramen I've ever had in my life. It tastes like shit. But I do remember that specifically and I remember like asking the guy if I can go to the pool because they had a pool at the motel. Anyways, so we end up like going to bed. I think we were there for like 2 nights. And then our last night there, I just remember like going to sleep, watching TV, and then the next morning is the day that I kind of started to put pieces together and how I ended up finding my mom. So we check out of the room and again we just start driving. Like those 2 days that we were lost, like we spent a lot of the time just driving around, driving. And I remember we would go to like different U-Hauls like stores and to see if my dad had like checked in the car, like the rental. And people were telling us that no, they haven't checked nothing in. So I remember doing that. And we would just, drive around. My like my siblings were just there. Like nobody was really crying. We were all kind of just chill. And I just remember the guy just driving, asking people for directions. And again, he would like question me, like ask me like, where does your uncle live? And slowly things started to like come into my head. Because I remember like from the times that I used to go sleep over to my cousin's house, I would sleep on the floor. And my uncle's house was on the corner of like of a street. But it was like a traffic light street. I don't know if I'm making any sense. But his house was on the corner. And I remember when I used to go, spend, I guess, sleep over at my cousin's, I would sleep on the floor and looking out of my cousin's window, I would always see this street and it was called Lapson Avenue. And it was, like the traffic light. It had like the street sign. And I just remember it being blue. And I remember it would always say Lapson Avenue. And my cousins would say it too. So that's why I knew like what the fuck Lapson Avenue was. And I knew that my uncle lived on Lapson Avenue. I knew my uncle's house was yellow and that it was on Lapson Avenue. When I used to go hang out with my cousins, maybe 2 blocks down Lapson Avenue, there was this Mexican convenience store called La Vaca. And La Vaca means cow in Spanish. There's your Spanish lesson of the day. La Vaca means cow. So like I remember we would always go to like La Vaca and we would go and get like Cheetos and drinks and candy and we would just stock up and just go back to my cousin's house. So those are the 2 main things that I remembered. That my uncle lived on Lapson Avenue and the fucking cow. And one day we're driving with this guy. He's like trying to look for my mom. and we drive by La Vaca. And I remember like looking out the window and I see the store and I tell the guy, I'm like, that's La Vaca. Like my uncle lives over there. And the guy just like stops and he was like, what? And I'm like, yeah, like that's La Vaca. So I remember like we drove by and I told the guy, I'm like, dude, like my uncle lives right there. Like that's La Vaca. Like I go there with my cousins. So the guy like, he was like, okay, like we're onto something. Like, so I remember the guy ends up going down Lapson Avenue and then he's driving and then all of a sudden to like the left of me is my fucking uncle's house. Like that stupid yellow house is like right there. And then we turn the corner and the fucking U-Haul's right there, parked. And I'm like, oh, like my uncle is right here. And the guy was like, oh, like he was so confused, but like I guess relieved at the same time. And I remember like we got out the car and like we go and we knock the front door and my grandma answers. And I just remember like my grandma just grabbing me and like crying. And to be honest, like, you know, this guy and his wife, you know, like they were undocumented. They were just scared people. They didn't even know what the fuck was going on. I think the whole situation that happened, like my mom losing us and how they lost us, like, you know, it was just a mistake. I don't know. Like, should CPS have been called on my mom? Absolutely. Should I have been emancipated at 14 years old? Absolutely. You know, they were looking for us. At the time that we got to my uncle's house, nobody was home. Like, everybody was, like, out just looking for us. And my mom, you know, she did go to the police station, not to file 1, but 3 missing children reports. So, I mean, I could just imagine. Like, can you imagine that, like, losing your kids? Like, that's jail time, I think. But I just remember, like, going to the house. My grandma ends up, like, opening the door. She's, like, crying. And then, like, she takes me, my brother, and my sister. She takes us in. And then, like, the guy just dipped. He left. And we never saw him again. And I just think he just dipped because he just didn't want to get in trouble by the police. I mean, I take full credit for reuniting me and my siblings with my mom, because if it wasn't for that stupid La Vaca store and that Lapson Avenue sign and me just knowing, like at 6 years old, just fucking knowing, and you know, Orange County is a very big place. Garden Grove is a very big city. Like, we were driving up and down that bitch. I don't know how long, but if it wasn't for me spotting out that stupid cow store, we would have never, I don't know where I would be right now. Probably like, I don't know. I don't even want to think about it, but.
Y'all, okay, I don't know what to think of this. Like, holy, like, so many things went through my mind because of this story. The fact that a murder is witnessed. So because a murder is witnessed, like, your whole family's life has to change because, you know, obviously his father was getting death threats, which, holy fuck, dude, that's scary. I can't imagine going through that. And I know that he was a child and so were his siblings, so it's a little more difficult to understand, like, the severity in the moment of why these movings of, like, across the state are happening. But it's scary to think, and I can't imagine being also his stepfather and you know, being your life being threatened. The fact that he became friendly with these 2 people who were also immigrants and trying to get their life together. And I mean, for them too, I can't imagine what they were feeling. Like, okay, we just met this family, now we're going to go on like a moving together, move across the state, and even all the way to the part where how he was sitting there saying that he remembered he used to go to his cousin's house, his uncle's house, and he would lay there when he was falling asleep and he would just see the lights turning with the street name. Like, shout out to him for being such a good storyteller, because I had like such a good visual when he was saying that part. And it's scary because growing up, or even just in your regular life today, certain moments happen in your life where you're like, what is the point of this? I don't know if you think like that, but I think like that. Like sometimes I'll remember I'll go back to certain flashbacks in my life and I'm like, why do I remember that? But in this story, like, it was literally like, again, like as he said, he wonders where he would be this day if he didn't remember the convenience store, the street name. It's like everything happens for a reason. And it's crazy to me to think about that, how it all came full circle of a memory, just a distant memory that slowly, as he said, it all started coming back to him. All he remembered was the convenience store name, the street name, and the house was yellow and it was on a corner. Like, come on. For you to put all that together is just, it's phenomenal. I don't know. I really think that people like that, because you don't know. I don't think the parents that they were with, sorry, not the parents, the couple that drove them across town were bad people. It doesn't sound like they were bad people. It sounded just as he said. They were two people who immigrated to the United States, who were trying to do better for themselves and, live a better life. So I don't think they were bad people, but you just don't know. You don't know people's intentions. You don't know what they could have easily been like, screw these kids, we're ditching them, we're leaving, like, bye. They could have, I'm going to let your own mind go into where it goes, but things could have ended really badly for these children, and I'm just happy that they didn't. And when I hear stories like this, I truly just want to say, like, you are meant to be in this world. You're here for a reason. And I'm not saying that there's a time in your life that comes where you're like, aha, I know why I'm here. Maybe I just haven't had that. But I truly think that your little brother and your little sister and your older brother and your parents, like, you guys are all meant to be here. Especially you were like the hero of this story. So I just want to say that you're meant to be here. And this story just kind of, it was exciting. The suspense was building. It's a little sad and it's scary, but ultimately it has a happy ending. So all in all, I just want to say thank you for submitting that story. I listened to it like 3 or 4 times and I was just like, holy crap, like, this is good. So thank you so much for submitting. And again, if you want to submit one of your stories that you think you would love to share with everybody, you can submit that again via voice memo or just written out in an email at TheKrystalKalinaPodcast at gmail.com. And that being said, you guys, thank you so much for listening. I truly appreciate it, and I'm excited for the next one. So I do hope you have a great week, and we'll catch you guys next time.